I decided to go with a bit of an impromptu stream on some things while I'm taking a walk here. I was going to do a very, very formal video on this matter, something that was supposed to be a really, really formal, kind of well thought out, structured video. But instead, I decided to just speak a little more off the cuff and from the hip, but also in a professional manner on things. And there will be a series of videos we're going to have coming up discussing the sources that we use when we put our practices of Middle Eastern martial arts into practice. Okay. As many of you may or may not know, Bayt Al-Asad here, our core focus on historical martial arts practices bases any kind of fighting, usually from the Islamic world. So we've got Persia, Greater Iran, India, Turkey, some stuff from North Africa, and anywhere else that pops up from that region. But people have asked us about our sources. So what we do is we piece everything that we do together by a combination of primary sources, so things that are written in the time period, living traditions, so anything that is still practiced nowadays, that isn't passed down generation to generation. So for example, I might be looking at some of the living traditions in India to influence my work on Qatars. Okay. And then there's also experimental archaeology, looking at weapons that have similar counterparts in other regions of the world, and then maybe using that living history and using living traditions, blending it with that experimental archaeology, and coming up with a thesis or theory on how these different weapons or fighting techniques occurred. And that's led a lot of people to some very genuinely curious and also reasonable questions about the sources that we use. And the first one that I wanted to get right off the bat is our sources from the Iranian world. Now, it's no secret to anyone here that our founders, myself and Issa Martel, were once members of Razmusfar. And Razmusfar is an organization that was founded by Dr. Manusher Khorasani, and he was responsible for the translation of a bunch of manuscripts and manuals and treatises from Iran. And that is where we got the basis of how we fight from, is our years with him. That laid the foundation for how we use the Shamashir and Separ and Shield. As you know, we are no longer with Razmusfar, but for the first part of our transparency here, we're going to say that that is still our bread and butter, is what we learned under that organization. Now, unfortunately, due to some differences in personal perspectives, we parted ways. But it's undeniable, the incredible work that was done to get those Persian sources to the mainstream. So we very much respect that. And where we've differentiated now is our interpretations of some of those sources. So we are still using the translations of what we learned, but now we're pairing it with other living traditions and things like Zircone, right, to go with our own interpretations of how fighting arts in the Persianate world were done. So we're not going off of our old organization's interpretations. We're now creating our own interpretations, which obviously are open to any level of scrutiny or debate as anyone else's would be. So we're very grateful for the time that we spent and the interpretations that we originally had, but now we're moving on to some of our own stuff and expanding out into other parts of the world. But I wanted to answer the question about sources for the Persian world. Those are not publicly available for free, but thanks to the work of our previous instructor, they are available to purchase. And those can be found in the literature that Dr. Khorasani has published. So despite any differences that might have popped up, we're still going to credit him for the work that he's done and bringing the Persian stuff to the forefront. But just like any other school, right, this happens. You have people who have difference in opinions on interpretations, and they go on to create their own interpretations. We may be wrong, we may be right. Who knows? Either way, though, that is the transparency behind what we do with the Persian stuff. There's going to be other sources that we have uncovered that we'll be using and revealing sooner rather than later, but that's not what the point of this video is. We're gonna, if you remember, come on and discuss other sources from other parts of the world, but since the greater Iranian world is kind of what I focus on in the group, I want to be the one to kind of bring that forward. So that is our real connection to our previous group, is the use of those amazingly translated sources. But again, how we view how the weapons are used is a little different. So thanks to the sources, right, we know that certain strikes are delivered in certain ways. We know that. How that is done, that is what our group is trying to put our own twist and put our own spin on. So highly recommend getting the original literature. Highly, highly, highly. Despite the personal differences, there was a lot of work that went into publishing and researching Persian archery and swordsmanship. So, is it expensive? Yes. Worth the money? Absolutely. It's 100% worth the money that it costs. And then you'll have access to these sources to see the wonderfully explained details of the translations, where they came from, everything is there. So that is where Bayt Al-Asad is working from that end of the world. We're going to have some people coming up talking about the work that is coming out of the Arabic world, some of the work that's coming out of the Turkish world. There's something that's been uncovered from Andalusia. So we've got some more stuff coming up that we can work out of and that we can demonstrate going forward. So we are definitely leaning towards going our own way with a lot of different cultures and paying respect to who taught us and what came before us. So with that in mind, if you have any questions, please feel free to leave them below. I know there's only 2 people watching right now, which is fine, but I would like anyone else in the future who sees this to leave your comments below. And if you have any questions on where to purchase this literature, that can be supplied down in the links. So I will catch you next time. I hope you all have an amazing weekend, and we will see you very, very soon. Be well. Bye.